Hi there people, I'm going to make a short video of a little trip from my caravan to the Ark, which is where I grow my food. And as you can see, this is my bed actually, and with drawing backwards I give you a perspective of the size of the caravan. It's nearly all the space I need, only probably wanting a little bit of bookshelving when I create something bigger in the future. So here's my compost, and out we go. It's my small garden, and the future house that I intend, whether it's going to be a house is another matter. It's probably just going to be a workspace, considering I work all the time. A couple of restored hives, my worktops, and the ceramic sink, double sink unit, which I found in the dry river bed. Here we have my improvised table with a 200-foot rope on it, and again I found that also causing a public nuisance. Do most of my cooking here. I have so much wood that I can burn that I am making charcoal with it now. I'm going to show you that as I get to the food tunnel. But all of these clippings here are needlessly burned by most farmers, but I can't burn anything without making use for it. So all these trees that you can see now are pruned, and it creates what you call these wands of olive, and that makes perfect charcoal when it's green. Generally though, I'm using much of the pine, because I'm felling pine trees for the purpose of construction, and it creates a lot of spare material. But here you can see the double row cypress trees, which are going to be a windbreak, and maybe in the distance the cistern, which is slightly hidden. We continue on. You see how much work there is. I mean, I'm working more or less every day on the trees, as well as making charcoal nearly every day and growing food nearly every day, taking dogs out for a walk. So I'm gonna go for a little tour inside my double cistern water tanks. And this is pond life. I have quite large frogs coming on there at the moment. Here we have a fig and some cauliflowers and some cabbage and some onion and some red onion as well coming through. And there's also peas which are now coming through, lettuces, various types of tomatoes, caul. Now I want you to count how many different vegetables and foods I'm actually growing here. They're not all ready at the moment. Lots of self-seeded parsley. Ornamentals which just fill in the gaps and are very much drought resistant, so they don't really need watering. Obviously broad beans, so many of those. Now I've also planted amongst here some cucumber, some courgettes, maybe a bulbous onion as well as what we call a calçote onion, which is it seems to be a cross between a leek and an onion, and we grill them. And as we go along, we're coming up to a vine which will eventually cover what I call the Holy of Holies, and this is the space at the end where I play my music and record my music now. And just a quick look back, a couple of more ornamentals here, bougainvillea, garlics, the first crop of broad beans which have been cut back now, and they will reflower, so I'll get a second load from the same plants. And I've got various citrus going along here, including grapefruit, lemon, mandarin and orange. There's 4 of those, and I've taken in consideration that eventually they will come up to a particular size and create shade onto the other side of the ark, because that's the side that receives most sun and gets driest. So as we go along, do a little loop. Things are going to seed here. I've just noticed a chard I've passed going to seed. I'll let that seed so it can produce more plants. In the corner, suffering from peach leaf curl because we've had a wonderful spring of lots of wet weather. Now that doesn't affect the fruit. I'm fine with that. So that's an apricot. And there's some passion fruit growing amongst there, which will eventually, like the bougainvillea, encroach over the whole woven cane structure and fill in all the gaps and just bind it all together. So lots of onion under here, and nettles, which are allowed to grow quite naturally because they produce very good predators, forms of not butterflies, in the form of ladybirds. At the back there's a row of drought-resistant aubergines and radishes, but they're not quite ready yet. Tradescantia purpurea, again ornamental and can literally survive on practically no water. As you can see, my passion fruits are passion flower plant is actually coming up now. We carry on, and amongst this lot there are more calabash. There's an artichoke there. As you can see, there's a few others as well around. And also melons. So I've got some melons in there as well. I hope you're counting the amount of different foods that I'm actually growing here. Remember, it's all on a tiny drip irrigation system. And here we have a wonderful plant. I'm not sure what type it is. It could be an aubrietia, but these flowers, they come out and then they go back in. They come out and they go back in during the night. And it's a wonderful bee plant. Look at that. I've actually taken loads of this and just started growing it all over the dry stone walls, which once established you can't stop the plant. And as you can see, I have an end here for cuttings. Oh, there's a kiwi here also, and the grape that you may have noticed in the corner. So composting, in here I'm putting kitchen waste really. And I've got a sieve that fits exactly on the top, prevents rats or mice or whatever going in there. Obviously I still get the flies, but I just literally pour water from the ground cistern and it drips through, and I collect it in a bucket here and put it in these containers, and then that's mixed in with other water when I hand feed the plants. And there's a hole in the side of the container there, which I just allow plants to go through. And back to the frog spawn again. And I'm actually washing my hand in this cistern at the end of the day using a biodegradable soap, of an environmentally friendly soap. And it has not affected the wildlife. There are snails in there as well. And so we go on. I'm going to go around in a loop. And as you can see, these straw bales have been collecting over 3 years. Now this year we didn't have the fair, the country fair, which I normally clean up afterwards and salvage all of these straw bales, obviously because of the coronavirus. So over the years they've been rotting down and I shit underneath them. So I will pull away a straw bale like that, sit on the edge of another one and do my stuff and then just put it back, and then all these worms and other activity happens underneath it quite naturally. And so we've had such a wonderful spring that I decided to plant up some potatoes. I've never had success with potatoes here because it just gets too dry, and I chucked in a load of pea seeds, and they're almost beginning to come up now as well, and I'm just going to let them do their own thing. But I'm going to give you some examples of the potatoes I'm growing. And potatoes are very good soil conditioners. The root system's mat and they open up the bowel, and once established you just pull out clean potatoes. You can see the passion flower from the other side. Here's my dog, is following me around. This dog is half blind, deaf and almost half crippled, but I just let him walk around the farm. He's one of the old ones now, about 15-16 years old. Ain't you, Jess? As you can see, I'm hoping to get a really good crop of potatoes this year. Now we're going to go into the Holy of Holies. And I have communal meals here with 1 or 2 guests sometimes, which is very nice. You have to imagine this structure is going to be covered by a grape at the end of it all. So we carry on. And this is my last field. Once I've done this, then it's I can focus on some other chores, but this is my last field for pruning the trees. And this is where I make my biochar. A simple sand pit. This is the large parts which will go in. There are the remains of the burn, which will go into the next burn, and it helps to actually raise the temperature of the burn and produces very good quality charcoal, which mainly is pine at the moment. But as I say, there's lots of olive wand, and the system I use is a sleeve system. It's a double barrel system, really. You can see what am I going to do with all this charcoal? I say there's a lot of people who could do a lot with that, but obviously I use some of it for cooking and quite a lot of it for burying and crushing. Crushed charcoal is very good for fertility entrapment, and that's a typical load that you can expect after each burn. I could try and sell it, I guess. And I should end the video there. I don't want it to be too long. It's a small garden. It's Matthias's garden. Cactus. There's solid rock under there, but they're all doing pretty well. And this is an old part of my yurt, and I've been salvaging bits of it. And eventually I will have a very nice facade on here. But look at that for a view, eh? A beautiful combination of green food, fruits in the future, hopefully, and ornamentals. Anyway, I'll say goodbye for now, and until next time.